Well, look at that. Live again. How short weeks can be sometimes. Good to see you. And all that is going on. I don't know why, but something just blocked. Okay, so you know how those commercials kind of pop up on your screen and you have to deal with them? Well, this one doesn't even want to be dealt with. It has renew or uninstall because your antivirus protection has expired. Yes, I'm so scared.
I think you can get rid of it from the bottom.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, so I'm going to hit some button here and hope this thing just disappears. Leaves me alone. So who says I need to see me anyway? I need to just look into the camera, into your eyes.
And it disappeared right there.
And it disappeared into you, into the bliss of my mind. So, and another one pops up. Yay, I can't see a thing. Programs and features. All right. Have you been compromising? Have you been compromising? Oh boy. You know, I try to keep track of the times that I have compromised and the consequences that I have faced because of it. Most of them I can't talk about. None of us can. But I came across a list this morning that I would like to come at compromise from a different direction. So the direction I'm coming at compromise from is the temptation to compromise that comes from something other than you. See, we all are tempted to compromise. Well, you know, it's just a pen. You know, you walked out of the building with a pen in your pocket that was, you know, not yours. It was the bank teller's, and you signed something and stuck it in your pocket out of habit. And you weren't trying to steal it, but you walked out with it and you found it in your pocket and you're like, oh, I don't want to drive all the way back to the bank. That's a little tiny compromise. Unfortunately, that little tiny compromise can open the door to a bigger one that's in the future waiting for you. But you see, the devil, he's real smart. He never comes at you with something terrible at first. You will never have a obvious temptation come to you right out in the middle, you know, in the middle of nowhere. Because whether it's a woman, you know, saying, "Oh, I'll sleep with you," out of the blue or something like that, not going to happen. It's going to be small. It's going to be slight. And the devil kind of works in these three steps. He does acceptable, questionable, and definitely wrong. He will never bring definitely wrong first. He will always bring an acceptable sin, an acceptable compromise first. An acceptable compromise. Well, you didn't have your tithe this week, but you'll pay it next week. You know, that's acceptable. Then the next week comes up and it's like, oh, you still don't have it. Oh, you went and spent it. Now that's 2 weeks. Yeah, well, it's no big deal. That's questionable. And then the third Sunday comes along. Wouldn't you know, the other 2 Sundays in the last 3 weeks have eaten up all of your money and it's all gone. And now it's definitely wrong. And in my case, I had, you know, kind of gotten off from my tithing and we got that straightened out when things were going wrong. And you'd be surprised how easy and how slowly I moved away from tithing, having justified myself and thinking I was okay to do that. And, but yet after getting there and not tithing, it wasn't possible for me to see there was a problem, you know, because it was so slow. But as soon as Joy found out, it was like, that's definitely wrong. That is not what we're going to do. And it's like my eyes opened up like, you know, how silly could I be? You know, I just got off very slowly, very slowly, very slowly. I had a good excuse about not tithing because I'd already been working for the church and saved them a lot of money. So I was like, well, you know, that's part of my blessing for, you know, I don't have to pay a tithe right now because I'm way ahead because I really saved the church a lot of money. No, The tithe is of your income, not a payback or something you owe, or something you have to give God his due, his protection money, or he'll get you. No, it's called honor. It's called respect. It's not Deuteronomy. It's Leviticus 29:32. God says the tithe is holy, separate unto me, or the tithe is mine, separate unto me, and it will forever be called holy. And so I don't know what people think about tithing, but the tithe is mine. What part of the tithe is mine are people questioning? Because God gave us this earth. He gave us all these riches. He gave us all this creation, and so it is our honor and our respect to him that we acknowledge he gave this to us by honoring the tithe, by being respectful. So getting away from the tithe was one on my list. And the devil always comes at you with a compromise that's acceptable. Then he'll come at you, if he's successful, with a compromise that's questionable. Oh, I don't know if I should do that. Then after you go ahead and do that, then the one comes that's definitely wrong. But you hear this voice in your head. Well, you've already done the other two. What difference does it make now? So you do very slowly get off track into types of compromise. So let me read you some interesting thoughts that I have written down over a period of months, and then I lost this little card and just found it, so it must have been the time to do it. Because the thing that the devil wants, evil in general, negativity, all that, you do call it what you want, is for you to stop fighting, for you to stop arguing, for you to stop stretching out your faith and desiring and praying and saying, God, I want this to have happen. You just give up. The devil will let you put a painting over the bars of your jail cell so that you don't see bars, so that you can kind of feel like you're not in prison. But he's got you. You're trapped. And if you will stop praying, if you will stop insisting on praying and insisting on doing the right thing all the time and insisting on being a Christian all the time with every one of your thoughts, then he will give you rewards. There are rewards for doing the wrong thing. There are rewards for compromise. These compromises are something that we're enticed to do. And we are inched very slowly towards doing them, because he'll let you hang a painting over the bars of your windowsill. He will you can decorate your cell to look like home. The thing that I told Joy this morning was the devil will upgrade your cheap cabin to a suite on the Titanic. People, there's always an old funny saying, you're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. You're just upgrading. And I feel like that about there are some, people in there that are in powerful areas of this country that are scrambling around for the best suite and the best cabin on the Titanic. They don't realize they're doomed. They just want the best seat in the house while they're on their way towards the iceberg. Because the devil will do that. He'll let you upgrade on the Titanic. He'll get you a better job. You say, whoa, the devil would get me a better job? Oh, yeah, he will. He'll get you a better job away from your spiritual support, in the next state over, 200 or 300 miles away from your home church, your family, your support, where you can stand strong. Because if he can get you away from them, he'll weaken you, and you'll be easier prey. So that's when you have to be careful of that new job with the more money that's so far away. That may not be the right choice. It may cost you to do that, not make you money. You can you get a buzz whenever you take the Lord's name in vain or cuss and swear in anger towards people. You get a euphoria. That's your flesh. That's the devil doing that. He'll give you a lift. He'll give you a buzz. If you say the Lord's name in vain and you cuss really good and get angry, he'll give you a thrill in your adrenaline and entice you to do it more. And here is a compromise, because we compromise with anger. And we say, well, I'm going to get mad. I won't get as mad, or I will get mad, or I won't get mad, but I'm mad. We see that's compromise. The compromise is because there is a reward for getting angry. Your adrenaline gets up, your body gets tight, you sweat a little bit, or you're trying to be an authority or something like that. And it's enticing to compromise like that with your anger. Also, if you compromise your anger, and I kind of want to make it like, the alligator story or a shark story where, as long as you're feeding the shark, it leaves you alone, but the day will come when you decide not to feed the shark and it's going to come after you. And so, you try to appease this anger. Oh, I'm going to just let my anger out. I'm going to let it out, and then I'll just get it over. Let me get my anger out so I can, be free from it. Well, all you did was circle around for another bite, because that anger took a bite out of you, and then it's going to come around again for another bite. As long as you keep feeding that anger, it's going to get bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger. There is only one way to stop being angry, and that is to continue to refuse to be angry. The more you get angry, the more you feed it, the stronger it gets, the more likely you will. It's a real catch-22. And it's that way with anger. It's that way even with other things of our body, our flesh, our wants, that the more we feed it, the worse it gets. But the more we starve it, the stronger we get. And so I remember years ago, I used to imagine all these sharks that used to take a bite out of me were starting to get skinny and emaciated because I wasn't feeding them anymore. And you know what? They finally swam off. They swam off and they quit bothering me because I wouldn't feed them anymore. So, also, the devil's going to let people call you a good person. You've ever heard that saying, oh, they're good people. Yeah, they're good people. See, those are compromises. That's a compromise, because it's not doing what God wants us to do. It's not being what God wants us to be. It's not about being good people. Oh my. Well, you better take care of yourself, because without a gallbladder, you've got different foods you cannot eat anymore. Maybe all those taste tests weren't such a great idea, Kenny. Oh my goodness. So we're praying for Kenny for his gallbladder. Thank you, Lord, for the healing of his gallbladder, that it doesn't have to be taken out. Give him another chance, Lord. And even Kenny, I would postpone it. I wouldn't let him take it. There are so many important things about your gallbladder that it's better to please try to eat healthy and do some natural healing and study up on it and look at it, because golly, once it's gone, it's gone. And it's a very important organ. And yeah, it's giving you a hard time, and some things have gone wrong, but and maybe you didn't even mistreat it. Maybe it has to do with just the body functions and the way you have to deal with things, because how your life is. It may have nothing to do with food, or you could have done a better job. But you can certainly look up foods that bless the gallbladder, foods the gallbladder doesn't like. I understand that. But golly, before you let them cut it out, just give it some time to heal. Give it some time to work, because you really don't want to lose that. It's very, very important. And then you have to take things and do things a lot different than you're doing right now. You will not be able to eat things that you're eating right now. You'll not be able to treat yourself. You'll not be able to do things that you're doing right now if you get that gallbladder out. Is this, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. You have to mention
Well,
complications
it
and
needs
everything
to be,
else. So
because if
please,
God gave you a gallbladder, then
there's a reason
there's a
for it.
reason for it.
And
So
I want you to really think about
if
that. Don't
if
just do it
if
because they
there's a
tell you.
possibility that they don't have to take it out,
Is there any way?
then that's what
I
he's
wouldn't
talking
do
about.
it. Just try. Just don't. It's never good to have your body cut open to begin
But
with.
some people have had it. Some
And-
people have had it out and they feel good, like
Yeah.
Brenda.
So it's if
Read the comment.
and I'm glad out in 20 times. I feel much better now. Well, that's good. Okay. So
I think it's a different surgery now than what it used to be when people did a gallbladder out so long ago, and
let's just be real careful. Make sure you have to do it and understand the supplements. Make sure you don't have to take pharmaceuticals the rest of your life, because those tear up your liver. You don't want to take pharmaceuticals. You don't want to do anything compromising your body. So be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Let's see. Let me see. People will just tell you, "Oh, you're a good person." They'll invite you to parties, offer you drinks, and be your friend. They'll, you'll also be offered, jobs that are good paying jobs, but they're jobs that destroy people. Could be in the area of, alcohols or cigarettes or pharmaceuticals or, the different things that are harmful. Anything that's harmful to people makes a lot of money, because you don't want to compromise, and be involved with these companies, that are selling these things that are killing people, from alcohol to cigarettes to anything else, that's harmful to people. People, they're making a lot of money, but they're making it off the destruction of humans. Then don't give in to your anger by letting it out. You'll feel a little bit of relief if you let your anger out. And you might even feel a bit of a calm after you let your anger out, but all you've done is feed it and give it a temporary, food, and it's gone away, but it's going to come back even hungrier, even stronger next time. And he will tell you, and the devil is going to tell you, "Oh, it's okay. What you're doing right now, it's no big deal. You're not hurting anybody. If it's going to hurt anybody, it'll hurt you. And I'm not hurting anybody, and I didn't do anything wrong." Those kind of things. As soon as you hear that voice coming in your head, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you doing this? It's because of compromise. So you assign if you maybe even you've compromised by assigning yourself the job of correcting people, of always confronting people, of being like that new Karen fad that's going on right now, that you feel like you're the one that's, someone needs to hold them accountable. I need to be the one to tell them what's going on. Well, you can't park here, and I'm the parking police. They just assume that they can do these things, and it's compromise, because they're compromising the authority of those around them that they feel aren't doing their job. Or even if you compromise is like, if I go to Cracker Barrel and I get breakfast to go and I come home and it takes about 20 minutes and I come in the door and I open up the little to-go box and all that kind of stuff, and it's still good, but it's not like having it at the restaurant. And that's what compromise is like. Compromise is still good, but it's just not the right thing. It's not like the breakfast there. As soon as you get it home and you open it up, it's 20 minutes old. It's just not the right thing, And you could even say, well, I just didn't feel like getting dressed. I just didn't want to deal with the restaurant. I just didn't want to deal with people, or I just didn't want to, have to put my makeup on and go to a restaurant. I just wanted to get it to go and to come home, And so now this is absolutely harmless. This has absolutely got nothing to do with any kind of, deadly compromise. But this is a good example of compromise. Compromise is the exact product with a 20-minute ride home It's coming to you in a plastic dish with a plastic fork. And that is what's going to cause your issue. It's kind of like that describes compromise. Oh, it was close. It might have even been the real thing, but it's not like being there. It's not what you're supposed to do. It's not as enjoyable. It's not as hot, not as fresh, not as good. And even though it's good and it tastes good and they make good to go boxes and all that kind of stuff, but just wasn't the same. That's kind of like compromise. So now, who else? There was somebody there would be like 3 keys to compromise: proximity, perceived injury, and pride. You see, once you get around the proximity to what you are, how close you are to it, makes a difference. If you notice that in the Bible, it says that Satan was a bringer of light. He was the closest angel, the closest thing to God. Nothing was closer to God than the devil. But his proximity to God, being so close to God, was his downfall. What happened was that he's called, one of the translations, he is like a shade, the diffuser of light, the lampshade, you could say, because God's glory is so powerful that he put a shade between him and us. And this shade was called Lucifer, who became Satan. And he was so bright and so beautiful, and he was clothed with all kinds of stones and things that just made him glow and sparkle, and he was beautiful. But then he realized he was beautiful. But what he didn't understand, and what drove him crazy, was that a lampshade is a diffuser of the light bulb. And as beautiful as the lampshade is, as much as it diffuses the light and has the little sparkly things hanging off it and artwork done on it, and then all that, and it's so beautiful, as soon as you turn the light off, the lampshade goes completely dark. It had no light of its own. So here's the devil being the lampshade around God, diffusing his light, diffusing his glory, helping people, even to, not people, but angels, his creation, to be able to even look at his glory and enjoy it, because it was being broken down into different colors and lights and everything by the stones of the Satan, that Lucifer had at the time. But that proximity caused him to have disrespect for God. It was just too close. It's like he starts thinking, wow, I'm the beautiful one. Look at these beautiful stones. I am the light. And so God switched off the bulb just to show him he was complete darkness. And that was it. He was, from there on out, he was complete darkness. So you've got to be careful when you compromise. Now, it might be easier for a bank teller to compromise than a banking customer, because the bank teller's always around money, so close to money all the time. They have to be careful, because they could be disrespecting it and just saying, well, that's just paper. That's just green paper. I can take some of that. I see it every day. There's plenty of it. Some of it's not even registered. Some of it's only lost and found. They can do kinds. The proximity to it gives them a disrespect. So be careful of that. Another compromise is people that unfriend the world. They cancel their Facebook account. They cancel their email account, or whatever. They just stop everything and start another account. And they think that this new self-image on this new account is going to make every improvement. But that's just a compromise. they're not really changing who they are. They're just changing their name, their Facebook page, and whatever. And oh, it's too busy and too much and too many people, and I just can't deal with it. And I'm going to start another page, start all over again. Unfortunately, the same person that started the last page that didn't work has also started this page that didn't work, that won't work. But it's a compromise. Instead of trying to fix themselves, they just fix the Facebook page. They just quit the Facebook page and move on to something else. So that was that. So my little notebook fell over. Oh, here we go. So where are we at? We're halfway. About where I wanted to be. So I think I've talked about my own self and my own compromises. The compromises in my life of who I was with, who I married, things like that, who we hung out with, a lot of compromises like that. So let's look at some compromises we don't want to do. We had a compromise today. We had a compromise a couple days ago where someone on Facebook posted nudity. And so it's not like, oh, well, you got to pray for them and hope for them. No. That's the end. That's the end. Any picture that comes up, anybody that posts anything promiscuous or anything else like that, we don't compromise. We do continue to pray. We do continue to communicate if a communication comes through another channel or another way of receiving information for them or to getting information to them. But we do not compromise, or I do not compromise, my wife does not compromise this man's eyes. My eyes are not for those things, and I do not compromise that. I do not let that, watch a movie that I know is going to be, in there. I try to stay away from all that. There are some things that are just, inevitably, you're going to see, but there are some things, if you can stop it, if it's something that you can do something about and you don't, it's a compromise. So
one thing that's a compromise for me, or that I don't compromise, is like words in movies, curse words
in movies.
I don't compromise. I don't.
Or on the live feed on Facebook.
If I tune into a YouTube channel or a movie or a TV show and all they do is, or they curse a lot, I don't watch them anymore, because I don't need my ears to hear those words, because I don't need those words to come out my mouth. And if you listen to something over and over and over, faith comes by hearing. That's what the Bible says, and hearing by the word of God. And so God created us to hear things and then say things. So I don't compromise with music, lyrics, words, like curse words and stuff like that. I don't compromise with that.
We have I'm trying to think of like with our RV, a compromise, not making sure it's watertight on the roof, or where I'm driving. I can compromise because the GPS will tell me the quickest way to go, but it won't say that an RV can't go that way. Next thing you know, I'm on the wrong road. And so that was a compromise that I, didn't realize I was making, because I was being given the directions. But the next thing you know, I'm on a road like this in my big 36 RV, just getting up this incline going, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? And so when I look back at that and I go, the compromise was Well, this road was a little shorter, and it was looked like it was going to get me there an hour sooner, and I didn't want to take the main highway. I wanted to take this road. So I compromised and got on that road. And that was wrong. And I'm telling you what, I have never done that again. I've never, when I see that little squiggly line on the map, even if it's not too squiggly, it's probably really squiggly in Tennessee. And I don't compromise that. The speed of the RV, when you get over the top of that hill, it doesn't take long for that thing to build up some speed and be doing 70, 80 miles an hour. And I don't compromise and do that, downshift and exhaust brake and things like that. Because there's a certain speed when your brakes aren't going to work. They're just going to be liquid. So you don't want to hit that runaway truck thing. That would be embarrassing. Well, yeah, it's kind of, there is no bad will of God. There is no permissive will of God. There is no good will of God. It says, that which is good comes from God. That comes down from the Father of lights. I understand what you're saying, and I've said the same thing. It's more like, I wouldn't even call it permissive. I would just call it unconditional love. If that's what you want to do, okay. And he just, takes his hands off your life. I'm with you, but you're in control now. This is what you want to do. That means I have to take my hand off you and guide you the way I think. Now you just go ahead and go do the way you think. That's not his will at all. His will is to have his hand upon you. His will is Romans 8:28, working out all things for those who love God and are according to the individual purpose, his individual purpose for them. That's Romans 8:28, for his individual purpose for them. And if we get away from that, if we don't want to do that, then he's like, okay, I love you. If this is the way you want to go, then go ahead and go that way, and I'm here when you're done. And so I understand that. There are people that make a choice to marry someone that they really shouldn't, and God helps them as best he can. But it's not the same as if you wait for the one that God has for you. So be careful. Do not compromise on who you're going to spend the rest of your life with, because you have to live with that person. You have to look at that person. You have to listen to that person, and you have to deal with that person. And if they're not a teammate, if they're not working with you and doing everything with you and sponsoring everything that you want to do, then it's a compromise. Well, yeah, he'll change. I'll marry him and he'll change. I'll change him. No, you won't. No, you won't. And your responsibility is to love your husband and take care of your husband. Your husbands, your job is to love your wife and to respect her and honor her. And if you feel like there is something about her that you can't deal with or live with, then don't marry. Don't compromise. Don't think you have to marry money or beauty or anything. You've got to marry what you can live with the rest of your life. And same with divorce. Don't compromise and say, well, that's our only way out. That's the only thing we can do. We've tried everything. Don't compromise. If whatever God put together, don't tear it apart. And if God didn't put it together, then that's more your choice. Because if God didn't put it together, then there, you're not bound by the same scripture than if God put it together. And it's like, because Joy and I got married at God's request, then every time I questioned his judgment, I went to him.
I'm an Asperger's.
I went to him and said, what are you doing, God? But you know what? She did that more with me than I did with her. She spent more years going, God, what the heck were you doing marrying me to him? This is no fun at all. She said that a lot more than I did for a lot longer than I did until I
think
got straightened out.
I think I said it before we got married. Like, are you sure, God?
Yeah, you sure? She was a little concerned. Of course, me, I was oblivious. I was marrying my beautiful, buxom, redheaded beauty. So I was totally lost. Hey, really? So, in the area of compromise, there's also compromise that I wanted to talk about with our own lives and our own bodies. And to me, if something causes cancer, if something causes a stroke, if something causes health issues, and we don't know it, we're just having a good time with life. It's not a big deal. But when you find out that what you're doing is causing an issue. Now, for me, I went through some things, but even just in the last couple of years, living a life for Christ and getting closer to God, I had to stop drinking diet drinks because of the chemicals in it. And I couldn't do it because my mouth didn't like it. Oh, no. I couldn't do it because, I didn't want the caffeine. Oh, no. But I could stop compromising because I knew what my liver was dealing with. All the chemicals and the aspartame and all these things that are hard on your body, and everything that goes in your body, your liver's got to deal with. I mean, I don't know how it does it to where there's one color of liquid coming out of me, but 100 different colors of liquid going into me, but only one color coming out of me. I don't know how it does that, but that means it has to deal with that color. It has to deal with caramel color, red colors, red dyes, and deal with all this stuff. So when I came to the understanding of what my body was dealing with and my liver was dealing with, I decided no more compromise. I crushed that last can of diet soda and said, I am done. I will never drink another diet soda like this. I am making a quality decision that I will not compromise in this area. And in 2005, I was eating a dozen powdered donuts every 3 or 4 days, 2 boxes a week. When you get 4 plain, 4 cinnamon, and 4 white powder, oh, that was heaven for me. But when I started smelling donuts coming out of my pores because I was sweating, I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem healthy to me if I'm smelling like donuts on my arm. I've been climbing up 3 flights of stairs to paint an apartment. I was like, and I just said, wow, that's it for me. I'm making a quality decision. I'm never eating another donut. I'm not even going to eat anything that has the word cake in it until my birthday, which was 6 months later. And I made it too. I went from November all the way to my birthday in May without having anything that had any cake or anything like the word cake, donut, anything like that in it. And that was 2005, and I still have not had a donut since because I feel like it was a compromise to my life. Now, some people might say, well, this is what I want to do, and this is my choice. Well, the Bible says you're supposed to leave an inheritance for your children's children. Part of that inheritance is you and your wisdom being alive there to see them. And you won't be if you compromise and you put these chemicals, these things in your body that shorten your life, these cancer-causing things into your body to shorten your life. Everything takes away a day. So that means you're taking a day away every day. And oh yeah, finally when your health gets so bad you quit, but by then you've already taken so many years out of your life. The last few are just wasted away. And I don't want to see that happen to you. And people say, well, you shouldn't judge people about what they do or what they drink or what they put in their mouth or anything else like that. See, I'm not trying to judge people. I'm trying to get people to see and not compromise. This is what compromise does. Compromise shortens your life. Compromise is, well, it makes me feel good, or, oh, I need it to stay awake, or, oh, I need it to go to sleep, or, oh, I need it for this and that. But then in a couple, in a decade, when your life is winding down and you do not get to see the next generation grow up, then what about that? What about that? You're shortening your life every time you participate in putting anything in your body that you know is causing cancer, causing surgeries, causing death. And you're compromising and still doing it, even though you know. And it's like sheep. Yeah, I know. I did it too. I smoked for 10 years myself, and I didn't quit for any other reason than, to follow God more closely. I liked it. I didn't mind it. As soon as I quit, I could see. But while I was, doing it, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. No problem at all. But then after I quit, then I could see I was compromising. I was shortening my life. I was doing things I shouldn't do, saying things I shouldn't say, because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And that brings us back to 1 Timothy. And Paul says to Timothy, I charge you and I commit you, my child Timothy, according to the prophecies that are going on before to you, on the prophecies that were said to you before, that you might war the good warfare, having faith and good conscience, of which some have thrust away and made shipwreck their faith. Whom I'm speaking of is Hymenaeus and Alexander, who I delivered to Satan, that they may be taught not to blaspheme. Okay, so this is Paul, number one top Christian to the Gentiles, right? No doubt. Number one top. And he said that these guys compromised. He turned them over to the devil, that they might learn not to blaspheme. So when you're saying, well, what about this, or what about compromise, or where am I compromising? Well, here's how you can give yourself confidence. I am not going to compromise, because it says, some having faith and a good conscience. That's Timothy. Oh, good. I've got 15 minutes to explain this to you. I've been waiting to get to the place where I wanted to come down to compromise. And I asked the Lord, I said, I don't really know how to wind this up. I need something from the Bible. I need something I've read before, something I understand or studied, so that I can make it clear. Well, this is it. And as a matter of fact, I opened to it. I even had a bookmark in that spot. Don't remember putting it there. But the bookmark was in this spot in 1 Timothy. They, having a good conscience, they thrust away and made shipwreck their faith. Here is the crux of compromise. It is the thrusting away of your good conscience. Now, in this situation with Hymenaeus and Alexander, they were in the ministry with Paul, being taught by Paul. But their conscience, they went against their conscience, Paul said. They went against their conscience. And this is where compromise is. In your conscience, I shouldn't do this. You know it. But you do it anyway. So in this situation, Paul said, they made shipwreck concerning their faith, of whom are Hymenaeus and Alexander, who I delivered unto Satan, that they may be taught not to blaspheme. I'm not sure exactly what he means by delivering them over to Satan, other than, he kicked them out of the house. But were they already there? Were they already in the devil's house? Were they already bad? Because they had compromised. They compromised the faith. They compromised the teaching. Paul said, you've compromised it. You've shipwrecked your faith. And now you have to be, cast out of this house. You can't be part of my ministry. And it's because they went against their conscience. And I thought that was very interesting, because if we go against our conscience once or twice, maybe we can kind of get away with that. But when we start going against our conscience to third time, fourth time, fifth time, we start to get hard-hearted. We start to get a little bit judgmental about, hey, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And I don't know how many times, you've heard this, but I've always heard this, people that are doing the wrong thing, going the wrong way, that have gone against their conscience, always have this defense of, oh, who are you to judge? Judge not, lest you be judged. Don't be judging. Well, here's Paul, Christian, writing 2/3 of the New Testament. He judged them. He said, I have turned them over to Satan. Sounds like a judgment to me. What do you mean Christians aren't allowed to judge? Paul just did it, and I follow Paul. If you had one of your own children in your own house that wanted to do something that illegal in your house, make the whole house smell, wanted to do this or that, or that was doing something illegal in your house, you are obligated to kick them out, because the whole house is guilty until you do. And so you have to kick them out. Don't judge them. Hey, which one of you, the doorbell rings, the babysitter shows up you've never met before, and you're like, come on in. Come on, let's go. Oh, no. No. When that babysitter comes to your house, you're going to know where they came from, who they know, whose parents they are they our parents your friends? Have you seen her before? Have you met her before? You are going to profile your babysitter. Oh, no, I wouldn't judge anybody. Oh, yes, you will. When it's your babysitter, you will. Oh, don't judge them by all their earrings and the way their crazy hair is. No, I won't judge them, but they ain't babysitting my kid. I'm not doing that. So don't feel like, oh, this isn't right. Paul just did it. Turned them over to Satan in the New Testament. Oh, don't judge. Yeah, you can judge. You can judge the situation. You can judge the certainty of the outcome, of a person's actions. Yep, I'm going to do if you're doing a pack a day of something or other, and inviting that presence into your body, you're going to suffer the consequences of it. Now, that's not me judging you. It's actually me saying, stop compromising. Stop believing that you're the one that's going to get away with it and not have to pay. Stop believing that you're going to live a long life and prosper, and all those scriptures are going to be yours, because you're counteracting every one of those with every puff or every dip. You're changing your body's chemistry. You're changing your body's health. And yet you're compromising what you know is true. And here's why. You're going against your own conscience. And if you go against your own conscience, eventually your heart will harden so that you can continue to do what you want to do. And then you come into Romans chapter 1, where God said their hearts were so hard, I just turned them over to whatever they wanted to do and forgot about them. I just let them go to their own destruction and demise. I'm done with dealing with them. Wow, that must have been pretty bad for him to get to that point, where he just kind of said, all right, let me turn you over. You want to do this? Don't let my conviction bother you. Go ahead and do it. You know, and I've met people like that. I've met people that don't have any conviction. You see them in documentaries. They didn't have any problem killing somebody. They didn't have any problem treating someone terribly. It wasn't even in their conscience not to treat them that way. It wasn't even a thought not to treat them that way. Well, why? Because they compromised their own conscience. And that's where I wanted to bring you to today, was not to compromise your own conscience. You know what you're not supposed to do. You know what you're not supposed to say. And if you compromise what you know, trying to get back to where my book flipped away from, it's not going to happen. Doesn't matter. We're at the most important page of the most important book ever written, and that is 1 Timothy, chapter 1. I charge you, my Timothy, according to the prophecies going before you, as to you, going on to the prophecies going on about you, that you might war a good warfare by them, by the prophecies, and having faith and a good conscience, since some have shipwrecked their faith, Hymenaeus and Alexander, whom I've delivered unto Satan, they might not blaspheme, because they went against their conscience. But Timothy, you're of good conscience. You have a good conscience. We all have a good conscience. And so I'm not judging people. I'm questioning your conscience. Is that really true? What you believe? Is that really true? But you see, here's where it comes from too. It comes from your own body. Your body wants a thrill. Your body wants a buzz. Your body wants a pickup. Your body wants to get through this. I need this to get through this. Your body has an addictive mentality. And so you compromise what you know is right. And you crutch where you won't put Jesus. And I find that's very true. You know, this is how I got free from things, because I refused to crutch. I refused to crutch. You know, I've made the choice not to touch alcohol, because number one, I was abusive. I abused alcohol when I did drink it. But number two, I've seen it destroy other people, and I can't be a part of that. I can't be a part of that. And it was like it seared my conscience what I saw it do to other people. It seared my conscience what it made me do that I don't ever want to do again. And because of that, I've chosen not to touch it at all. But it is a something that, you know, for Christians is not as big a deal as people in the world. You know, we have choices and turn on and turn off. But the thing is, because I don't touch it, I have to rely on Jesus for that relaxing moment. I have to use my faith to be at peace. I have to go to Jesus to get this bad day over with, or this bad situation over with. I have to go to God and deal with things. I can't just knock a few back and call it a day and get some sleep. You know, when I was an alcoholic, I would have a 6-pack attack, and I would drink it in 30 minutes and then sleep till the next morning, just because I was done with the day, you know, in the military, done with the day, bored out of my skull, waiting for the next day to happen so we can do something else. You know, it was just a 6-pack attack. And so I could never get involved with that again, because it was a crutch. And, you know, and believe me, crutches can be religion, crutches can be food, crutches can be drugs, crutches can be obsessions, fetishes, lots of crutches out there. But when you refuse that crutch, I will not use this crutch again. I will not go this way again. You have to rely on God. And sometimes part of life is not compromising and making yourself trust and believe and follow God and not compromising. Oh, I just can't get to sleep. I got to have this. I just can't get to sleep, honey. I just got to have this. I got to do this. It's no, don't crutch. Everywhere that you feel like you need a crutch is where you need Jesus. And with my mentor and pastor friend who's passed away, he said, anywhere you're offended, you have a broken heart. You're offended. Your heart is broken because God says you'll have a whole heart. And so I always thought a whole heart meant about everything. No, a whole heart meant about that thing. My heart's broken about one thing, but yet it's whole about another thing. I can handle it. Doesn't offend me. But let my car door come in and bump my head or something like that. I'm ready to punch that car door for closing before I told it to, and I've got to deal with that. I am not going to compromise, and I am. It's like, I used to ball up my fist and hit stuff. Now I can just feel like I don't even ball up my fist, but it's a backwards progression here to where I'm not even going to get angry at some point, and because I compromise and take my anger and take my frustration and hit something. And I used to do that once a day, over a period of time, once a week, over a period of time, once a month, but still in my life, occasionally, when something happens that really gets to me, I'm gonna punch that. It's just it's a compromise, but it's letting my flesh go. It's going against what I know is right, what I should do, and it also is, showing me I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be. And my wife can testify how I punched holes and stuff and broken stuff and did things, and just feeding the anger, thinking that if I just let this anger out and hit this, I'll feel better. But then the next time it was worse, and it was eventually, the only way to win is to quit. The only way to win is to quit. So I'm coming up on the end of my time.
Well,
we got anything else? Living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God.
This
Pray for those who seared conscience. Oh,
because the Bible actually says that sin is only pleasurable for a season. So when I have a loved one that I care about that is dealing with sin that they're just not letting go of, I pray, because the Bible says they can sear their conscience. So I pray that their season of sin is over. I say, Lord, your word says that sin is only pleasurable for a season. So I thank you, Lord, that so-and-so's season of sin
is
of
over.
pleasure is over. It's over.
It's no longer a pleasure.
And I just pray that until that thing breaks over that person. And I've seen it break over them by praying that way.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, there's some sins that are exciting, but only for a season. Then after a while, you're working hard to do it again. But the first time, boy, that was great. But after a while, it doesn't work anymore. So you have to be careful. And when that season's over, you gotta, well, good. Tara, you stayed awake for me. Oh, isn't that sweet?
She's been on the go.
That is one lady.
She's been on the go on family vacations and on family reunion vacations.
Yep. Took care of a few things.
Friends. Cousin Eddie loves your message. Kentucky Girl said, Joy, when are you posting the bear versus bee video? I am working on it right now.
The resting
it's
bee?
Not saving in my phone because my phone has so much on it. It's saying I don't have enough space
Hey,
to actually save the video.
thanks
So
for stopping by, cousin.
I've been trying to save edit some smaller videos and get them off my phone.
Oh yes, and
Like,
and you're right. Jesus loves you, Kate. She sent me a thing on information about the Titanic today, and you know, they got into the wrong. You know, they didn't really talk about where they compromised.
No, they were
But
doing. They did a different message.
They did kind of a different message, but in the message that we got, they compromised on how many lifeboats were needed. And they compromised on some of the safety features because, oh, you don't need that stuff because it can't be sunk. And so they did compromise on that ship. They compromised a lot of things. They compromised the watch. They compromised the watchman. They compromised the ship by going, you know, full speed ahead and trying to make a record to cross the Atlantic.
The shipping owner.
The shipping owner.
He kind of dared God in a way.
And saying, yeah.
He would say, this is unsinkable.
Yeah.
Even God can't sink this Titanic.
You know, so there are a lot of compromises with that boat as well, in the safety of the people and the ship, the shipping lane, the direction they took, the speed that they were going. There were a lot of compromises. So don't feel, you know, and that's a good, remember this. You can get away with a compromise. But when you get away with 2 or 3 or 4 compromises, all 4 of them added together will sink your ship. Now, one of them, no big deal. But all 4, they add up. And you've got to watch your compromises.
Yeah. They thought it was so unsinkable that they did not have enough lifeboats to rescue all the people that were on board.
Jackets. Yep. And, you know, there's even other conspiracies that they planned to sink it the whole time because it was the Britannic, not the Titanic. And they're going to prove that here in the next couple of months. That's going to surprise everybody. It could be it was the Britannic, not the Titanic, that sank. And they're looking at the name on the bow of the ship that's resting. That underneath the word Titanic is the word Britannic. And that they switched ships because the Britannic had a bent keel and was a total loss. So they decided, well, anyway, let's not get into that. So look, it's on YouTube. You can look at it. The other Titanic conspiracy, a new Titanic conspiracy out there. And
A to Z, thank you
hey, A to
for
Z,
coming in.
how are you?
And she's going to finish watching the whole thing later. And there was a subject of moon pies.
Oh,
guess what we happen to have?
And moon pie. And we are going to be taste testing.
This is
some taffy too.
I think this was the mint moon pie, right?
Yeah, we bought a couple mint ones, one to eat and one to test. And then we bought some taffy and some other things. So we'll be doing a taste test for that here the next day or so.
Well, here, we're going to taste this right now.
We're going to do the moon pie right now.
The mint moon pie.
Mint moon pie. You know, these are real special. They've been around for years.
I like the mint one. I like that.
Kind of like a mint Oreo.
It's not a real strong taste of mint, but kind of like a hint of mint.
Or maybe like a York peppermint patty with a marshmallow center.
Yeah, it's really a marshmallowy type mint in the center.
You've never had a mint moon pie. Well, now you have. Now you have. It's so good. I send out flavor puffs to you over the internet. You can taste it. You can taste it. Taste the mint in your mouth as you watch me.
They said on my video, the Moon Pie General Store, they said the lemon pie was here temporarily, but the mint moon pie was here to stay. So when you go, when you visit there, Tara, when you come and visit the moon pie store, you can try a mint pie.
And the This moon pie store is, you know, that turn into the island, right at the island, the Alcatraz. No, Alcatraz is right there, not the moon pie store. It's the next one down.
Jesus
After
Loves Your
the
Cake wants to know.
island, the next one down, where it has the a Pigeon Forge Welcome Center. The moon pie store is right next to the Pigeon Forge Welcome Center on Parkway, right there on Parkway, on the island side, the left side as you're going towards
Jesus
Gatlinburg.
Loves Your Cake said, I've never had a moon pie. Is it as good as a Hostess chocolate cake? No, it's totally different.
It's totally different. It's a marshmallow inside 2 pieces of cake.
Yeah, but it's a combination, almost like a cookie, a cakey cookie. It's almost like a cakey cookie.
And it has a hard chocolate crust.
Yeah, or some sort of.
And then a foamy, and then
it's
a
like
marshmallow.
it's dipped. It's like it's dipped in something. Now this one we had, the mint one, it was like it was dipped in chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And but we don't eat moon pies all the time, but we taste test them.
And we'll hide them from you.
But hey Tara, when you go
it's junk food, Ed. We understand it's junk food.
Yeah.
You only eat it for a taste test. You don't buy a box of them. It would be compromise for me to eat a whole box.
Tara said she buys a variety pack for her Sunday school class. If you go to the Moon Pie General Store, you can buy, they have boxes, open boxes, and then they have moon pies that are separate in those little packages that I just showed you, because that one we purchased separately. We didn't buy a whole box. We purchased like 2 little moon pies of that flavor, and then 2 of a lemon flavor, which he ate one, and then we'll taste test the other 2 on Joy Blessed Life. But they have open boxes there, and then you take the open box, they're underneath where the individual packages are. It's on my video, and you can go and pick out your own. So let's take, for example, the variety has banana in it, and you don't like the banana flavor, you can pick your own flavors and stick them in the open box. Whatever flavors you want.
You get to hand pick whatever.
Hand pick whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for today. Running a little over. Some people might have to disappear to where they need to go. But we're glad to be a part of your life for this hour. Don't forget tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Never know where we're going to be. What we're going to do. Last week at Local Borough was really fun. That was great. We got to watch the street, the busy street of Gatlinburg, and it was great. So we'll see what happens this week. And bless you and all the moon pies you can find. Enjoy them. Just eat one. And because, like Ed says, it'll kill you, mister. Well, I'll tell you, well, don't try to take away my moon pie. Well, I'll have to kill you. All right. And heading out for the off button into the broadcast. Love you very much. And see you next week. Don't forget tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.